Hi everyone, I created this video to pre-teach some of the concepts that Mr. Terry is going to talk about when you meet with him live on Thursday with your class. So it's a great idea if you have an opportunity to watch this video before you go on live with Mr. Terry so that you can get a little bit of a warm-up before you start to work with Mr. Terry. Okay, so today we're going to talk about equivalent fractions. Remember, equivalent means equal. Excellent, great job. So equivalent fractions have the same value, even though they may look different. And I am going to show you what I mean by that. So if I write the fraction 1/2, the fraction 1/2 is equivalent or equal to the fraction 2/4. These fractions look different, right? They use different numbers, but they still represent the same part of the whole. Another fraction that's equal or equivalent to 1/2 and 2/4 is 4/8. So again, 4/8 looks different than 2/4 and 1/2, but they're equivalent because they represent the same part of the whole. I am going to show you what I mean using my fraction strips, and I'm just gonna bring my camera down here so that you guys can see the whole strip. So here is my fraction strip that represents one whole. Here is my fraction strip that represents 1/2. Here are my 2 fraction strips that represent 2/4, and my 4 fraction strips that represent 4/8. You can see that each of these 3 fractions are equal. They're equivalent because they represent the same part of this one whole. Okay, so when you multiply a fraction by the same number on the top and on the bottom, you can create an equivalent fraction. This fraction will still keep its value, which means it will still represent the same part of the whole. So let me show you what I mean. So again, if I take my fraction 1/2 and I multiply my fraction by the fraction 2/2, remember 2/2 is really equal to 1 whole. Remember we talked about that in our video on Monday, okay? So 2/2 is really equal to whole. It is really equal to 1 whole, I'm sorry. So when we multiply any number times 1, it's equal to, that's right, that number. So when we multiply 1/2 by 2/2 or 1, our new fraction is going to be 2/4. 1 times 2 equals 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4. So again, even though 1/2 looks different than 2/4, they are equivalent because they have the same value. They represent the same part of the whole. I'm going to show you guys another example with fraction circles here. So if I have the fraction 1/2, the fraction 2/4, and the fraction 4/8, you can tell that this is still representing the same part of the whole pizza. If I cut my pizza in half and I eat 1 piece, if I cut my pizza in 4ths and eat 2 pieces, or if I cut my pizza in 8ths and I eat 4 pieces, I'm still eating the same amount of pizza. So the rule that I just showed you for multiplying fractions is the same thing for dividing fractions. So just like with multiplication, when we divide a fraction, let's use the fraction 4/8. If we divide the fraction by the same number on the top and the same number on the bottom, we're really dividing 4/8 by 1. Right? And when we divide any number by itself, when we divide any number by 1, it is equal to itself. So 4 divided by 2 equals 2, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4. Again, 4/8 looks different than 2/4, but remember, equivalent fractions look different, but they still represent the same part of the whole. Guys, this is a really tricky concept, so just try and use what I talked about today and think about these things as you work with Mr. Terry today. Remember, you can always reach out to me if you have any more questions or if you'd like any more help. Thanks for watching.